We're going to move on to Article 2 and read some excerpts from this article. Former reality TV star now leads a dangerous anti-science cult. This was published on December 18th, 2017 by David G., which is David McAfee. The cult was founded by former reality TV star and shock artist who goes by the name Morgue, and it's just as weird as it sounds. Morgue used to spend his time swallowing swords and performing other tricks in Venice Beach. We know a lot more about this now. His whole thing with shock art is really just him drawing attention to himself. And it's glorified self-harm is what he used to do. Hyperianism has all the familiar hallmarks of a dangerous cult. It says there is a greater truth being hidden from everyone. It holds unique knowledge in front of its followers as an incentive to commit to the faith. And it utilizes projection in stating that it's the rest of the world that's brainwashed. Morgue often speaks in the mystical, intuitive, performative words and in fashion. Because again, this guy's a carny, right? So like he, again, working on Venice Beach freak show, you got people walking down the beach and he's got to lure them in by being extra performative. This is all he really knows is seeking attention. But what he does here is he is claiming to be this messenger of ontological mathematics. And he uses all of his carny, performative shock art from his past to get your attention. Now, imagine a university professor giving the message of Aunt Math to the world. It would sound nothing like Morgue. Morgue comes on your screen and says, your reality is an illusion, and I can help you unlock worlds beyond worlds in your mind. A university professor would be speaking about ontology, epistemology, mathematics in a way that's not like a goth edgelord trying to get you to come into his circus. So it really is exactly as this article is saying, this former reality TV star, shock artist, carny.
So you're right. And also if you think about like this university professor teaching on math, nothing that person would say would be couched in this mystical, intuitive language like Morgue uses. And the really insidious thing, I think, is that when you use intuitive speech like that, it creates this sort of like doubt. Like, ooh, does he mean this? Maybe it could mean this. That's why you get all these people coming into the live streams that like have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And they just say random shit like they know what he's talking about, because it's like open to interpretation. It could mean this, it could mean that. And that sort of doubt inherent in that, he is very good at monetizing. He like uses that uncertainty to draw people in and to make them donors pretty much. So this whole ACPI war thing that is going on now, one of the things that he was thinking about, or maybe thinking out loud, kind of like talking to us about, is that they wanted him to stop using Aunt Math. So he was saying like, okay, if there was a reality in which I stopped, or like we had to stop and we couldn't use that anymore, would there be a way to capitalize or monetize that to our use that to our advantage pretty much? So he was thinking like, okay, maybe we could be like there was like this forbidden secret knowledge about the origin and the nature of the universe that they don't want you to know. Like he's always looking for a way to like I said, monetize that doubt, that uncertainty. You see his thumbnails, they're always like, shh. Like he's always like trying to capitalize on that element of like, they don't, the forbidden secret teachings you're going to get right here. Like that kind of bullshit. He's very good at that.
Imagine someone from a respected academia. They would not try to make it vague. They would very calmly and clearly explain to you so that you understand the information. But Morg, of course, it has to go on there and act like, well, you wouldn't know if a higher entity was making a YouTube video right now. It's like he's painting this mythos that he's like a Prometheus, and he's bringing some like he's bringing the fire of the gods, to you.
Well,
And
yeah, he acts like he's benevolent, like it's a gift he's bringing to all mankind, when really it's completely self-serving.
yes. Here we have a quote from Morg. My act isn't shock for shock's sake. There's a purpose. It's to show people that there are different ways of expressing yourself, he stresses. Whether it's something beautiful or something horrible, it's all valid, and it's all about opening minds. It's quite alarming. When a person tells you who they are, listen. And this man really said, whether it's something beautiful or something horrible. You know what I mean? And he's like, first he says, I'm expressing myself. And then he says, it might be something horrible, because that's what's inside, is a horrible monster. And of course, that's why he's got the weird, grotesque acts where he like mutilates himself for attention, because far be it from him to go pick up an instrument and learn how to play it, or something like painting. He's got to do something horrible because that's what's inside.
And like here we have this fixation again on expression and expressing yourself. Like that is the highest ideal. That's the highest goal, just to learn how to, every individual learning how to maximally express themselves, which I would assume is somewhat related to like the alternative and goth scene, just this hyper fixation on self-expression at all costs. Just fuck everything else. Like, as long as you express yourself to the max, that is all that matters. Also, we have him saying that it's all valid and it's all about opening minds, but that it's all valid thing, that's kind of a crack right there, I think, because that kind of goes back to the being all things to all people at all times, or at least trying to, like saying, hey, it's all acceptable, it's all fine, there's no standard, there's no like, you can't tell anyone, no matter how they're behaving or what they're saying, you can't tell them that like that is not okay, you can't do that, like it's their truth, and who am I to say otherwise? It's all valid.
Yeah. The AC actually picked him to be the messenger of the Ontmath, because he was a shock artist, and they thought that would be a good fit because their material is shocking. And they actually said recently that they were really disappointed with how boring he was. He's not shocking at all. But once you've seen the hook trick where he sticks it up his nose, he's got nothing. You're over it. And by the way, people do that all over the world. You can get on YouTube and see people doing it even better than he does. People will do like big corkscrew things. So like, he's got nothing original, nothing shocking. There's nothing about him. He's just a carny.
I remember at the third Hyperian event, it was held at Bordner's, also called Bar Sinister. And there's a main stage, and the main attraction of the night was what was going on the main stage, which involved Morg is sort of an MC for a bunch of like a contortionist act, and like a dominatrix doing a fan dance or something. But he was emceeing it and doing a bunch of his stunts in between, including the hook trick, including him swallowing a sword, swallowing a scythe, which is very dangerous because it goes right by your, presses up against your heart, and the one where he swallows a billiard ball and does the sword and then regurgitates it, and he before he said it, he's like, only 5 people do this in the world, and I think he said, yeah, and 4 of them perished or something in it. And it's like, why would you do something like that? My God. And maybe he was BSing about the other people, dying from it, but he was doing the carny tricks at a Hyperion event. there
Yeah.
was no discussion of Hyperion concepts. It was an entertainment show, you know, with
Well,
all these.
as we've learned, all Hyperion concepts are everybody look at Morg, watch Morg do stuff, give Morg money. You know, that's the only Hyperion concepts that exist. So,
Mhm.
he's full of shit. If he really thought he had a duty to like bring knowledge and change the world, he wouldn't like live his life like there's no tomorrow and do stunts that he could die from. You know what I mean? Moore gained a platform to spread his own woo, bringing in new followers from around the world. At the time of writing this, he has 289,218 followers on Facebook and 85,000 on Instagram.
So he said to you that we're not above nefarious tactics, and his example was buying followers, but I mean that was one example, but it just makes me wonder like what other nefarious tactics he's okay with, you know. But you know,
Mhm.
like again, that kind of, it speaks to someone who is obsessed with image and obsessed with illusion, pretty much. So he like it. One of the most important things to him is perpetuating this image of this illusion of growth in popularity and reach. It doesn't matter. It's not important if you actually have it or not, if you're actually reaching people or not. It's about appearing like you are. Like everything else in Hyperianism, it's all performative. It's all for show. It's all aesthetic based. It's all like how everything looks. Am I saying the right thing? Do I look a certain way? Okay, good. And that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard him say frequently in live streams, we are growing so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're growing artificially by buying, you know, these followers and stuff like that. And he's
Yeah. Oh, it's all the when the rich elite say bread and circus, Morg's the circus, you know.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
basically it's like I think in his world, if it looks like people are into what he's doing, then maybe some people will be into what he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so this is McAfee speaking about Jared Hammer's assessment. I couldn't agree more with Mr. Hammer's assessment. This has the markings of what could ultimately become a full-fledged cult, complete with brain reprogramming and maybe even self-harm or suicide. When you have a compelling leader demanding authority and telling people death is an illusion, you never know what might happen. Yeah, I mean, this is a full-fledged cult now. So at the time of this article, they were very concerned that this would happen. And here it is. It's absolutely a cult. And this cult engages in reality denial. This whole following lives in a fantasy world, and you know, twice a week everyone comes together to worship Morgs and money. It's like they all live in a bubble, especially with what's going on in the world right now. You know, it's really sad. It's really sad. If you are really a fan of logic and reason, you'll want to stay far away from it. Yeah.
I think that is like a really good crucial point too, that if you're being rational, it will lead you out of Hyperianism.